Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, meaning it's time to look at the dictionary, Franziska.
Shut up, fool!
That he died immediately upon being stabbed by the knife. Ergo, he could not possibly have fired the gun after that. Ooh, look at this handsome close-up. Ooh, boy, you fine.
Oh, you got me.
Oh, she doesn't look fazed at all, though. She's like, bruh, I told you that earlier. Hello, everyone. This is Boricua Binks, and welcome back to Let's Play Ace Attorney Investigations, Miles Edgeworth. We are continuing on with the fourth case in the game, and it has been a while since I recorded, so I don't exactly remember where we left off, but apparently we're still in the beginning, so we got a ways to go. Alright, September 10th, District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. Here's the autopsy report.
It is probable that Mr. Rell survived for a short time after he was shot. However, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously from his stabbing. Interesting.
Alright.
It looks like we now know everything we need to know about this case.
Are you sure we know everything?
Of course. The incident began with Mr. Faraday attempting to get his revenge. The prosecutor went into a rage from being accused and tried to kill the defendant. But the defendant fought back and they ended up killing each other. It's all very clear and simple. There is absolutely no margin for doubt.
Do you really believe that to be the truth? How foolish and naive.
Hey, don't you dare use my word. Ha! Are you saying that just because I figured out the truth before you, that you don't want to believe it's true?
Oh, these two are so prideful at this age. Honestly, they still are now that they're older, but I think excuse me, I think it was so much worse back then. Oh, I should have turned on... Hold on. I'm gonna turn on a bigger light in this room, because when I'm recording late at night like this, it's like super tiring and hard to wake up. Alright.
It's alright. If you disagree with my agreement... Or agreement? Wow, Banks.
Okay, clearly I don't know what the hell I'm doing anymore.
It's alright. If you disagree with my argument, then prove me wrong. Well, if there are any contradictions to be found, that is.
Don't worry, I will. Ooh, ooh. She looks so much older than 13 in that image for a second there. Okay, what happened?
Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, while Mr. Rell survived for a short time.
Why do I feel like I'm giving her the wrong voice? Like, for some reason, I feel like I'm doing Alma's voice rather than hers. Oh, is it that it's really similar? Oh, I don't know. Let me know, guys. Like, am I doing the wrong voice and I'm not even sure? Like, what I hate about this headset, this one that I got a few months back, is that I can't hear my voice in my ears like I could with the other headset I had. I feel like that might be a problem when it comes to voice acting. So, just let me know if I'm totally wrong just because it's been a while since I've recorded and... Do I have Alma in the brain? Can you blame me, though?
And Mr. Well, while on the brink of death, stole Mr. Faraday's knife and stabbed him. Those are the facts of this case.
Okay. Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, therefore he must have attacked first. Proving that logic to be false is probably the fastest way to show her that she's wrong. In that case, I should first look for any holes in her theory. Alright, pressing time. Instantaneous.
Hold it!
Do you truly believe that Mr. Faraday died instantaneously?
I have the medical report right here. Mr. Faraday died instantaneously of shock due to being stabbed in the chest. There, you see? It's been documented clear as day.
Ugh. Okay. This obviously died after. Mr. Faraday shot Mr. Rell before he died. Do you have any basis for that statement?
Your foolishness has no end, does it? Now, I hate to repeat myself, however, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously. Do you need a dictionary, Miles, Edgeworth?
Shut up, Franziska.
That's all the basis I need.
Alright, so if Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, then he must have attacked Mr. Rell before being stabbed.
You're finally beginning to catch on, I see.
And Mr. Rell, on the brink of death, stole his knife and stabbed him. Let's review something first. Okay, burn Faraday, Matt Rell. 4 p.m. discovered immediately. Alright, died of a knife stab to the chest. Instantaneous. Died of a bullet wound to the chest. There is no gunpowder burn on his clothes, suggesting he was shot from a few yards away. Oh, hell no. Franziska, do you not know how to read, girl? It's right here. It's possible he was alive for a little while after being shot. And yet... how did Faraday end up on top of him? Okay. That's ridiculous. Let's keep rushing though. Just in case there's a certain line she's gonna say that we can use to argue against. So you believe that the dying Mr. Rell stole the knife from Mr. Faraday?
Mr. Rell became desperate as he did not want to die. Human beings can do amazing things when they are put to the test. So, the two men struggled, and in the end, Mr. Rell was able to grab the knife and stab Mr. Faraday. The messy condition of this room is a testament to their struggle. Yes, my logic is perfectly sound.
No, girl, no. Can you really say that it's perfect?
What are you insinuating?
Nothing. However, I can't let what you said slide by without further inquiry. One must be clear and precise. So, if you could append that statement to your testimony. There we go.
Fine. They struggled, and Mr. Rell used the last of his strength to counter-attack Mr. Faraday.
Struggled. What else do we have here? Fountain pen. Okay. Found in Faraday's hand. Fired from a few yards away. Found in Rell's hand. Didn't hear a sign of a struggle. This is what we're gonna use. Alright.
Objection!
There's so many holes with everything she was saying that I was like, I don't know what to go after, but luckily when you press, sometimes they specifically say a certain line. So we're gonna go after the struggling first, and then I'm sure we're gonna go through the whole thing about the gun being shot from too far away, you know? If the two men were fighting, their struggle would have surely caused quite a bit of noise. However, Detective Gumshoe testified that he heard absolutely nothing.
Ha! You place too much faith in that detective's testimony, you know. But for the sake of argument, let's say there wasn't a fight. How then did Mr. Rell get his hands on the knife?
Mr. Faraday's bag was sitting right here in lobby number 2. It is not hard to imagine that perhaps Mr. Rell saw a chance and took it out at some point. Why were they even allowed to be in the same room together after the whole thing went down in the courtroom, you know? That to me is the strangest part.
So, what you're saying is this. Mr. Rell took a chance when he saw the opportunity and took the knife from the bag. And then Mr. Faraday shot Mr. Rell after being stabbed.
Isn't there something strange in Franziska's statement just now? Of course something's off. Wait, something doesn't add up.
Oh, really?
It's simply not possible for Mr. Faraday to have shot Mr. Rell after being stabbed. You just said his death was instantaneous, girl!
Take that!
According to the coroner's report, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously, meaning it's time to look at the dictionary, Franziska.
Shut up, fool!
That he died immediately upon being stabbed by the knife. Ergo, he could not possibly have fired the gun after that. Ooh, look at this handsome close-up. Ooh, boy, you fine.
Oh, you got me.
Oh, she doesn't look fazed at all, though. She's like, bruh, I told you that earlier. No, stop. Stop copying him. Don't be like stupid Manfred. But of course.
Well then, if the report is correct, then there is only one correct explanation. If we suppose that Mr. Rell was attacked first, then Mr. Faraday, who died instantaneously, would have been unable to kill Mr. Rell. Therefore, Mr. Rell must have stabbed Mr. Faraday after he was shot. Then they both died. That is the only explanation that makes logical sense.
No. Negating your opponent's ideas in order to prove your own theory. I see you've been studying, Franziska.
I just wanted to explain it to you as simply as possible, since you are a child after all.
Don't start with that nonsense, you're younger than I am.
Before you foolishly propose a foolish theory that only a foolish fool like you could.
How naive of you to believe that only your opinions are valid, much like most of the people on the internet these days. Oh god, it makes me so mad sometimes. There's things I like about Twitter, and then there's a lot of things I don't like. So, yeah, I barely post on there anymore, and I just try to avoid looking at things that I know will upset me. But every now and then something will pop up, I'll be like, dag nabbit. And still expect to discover the truth that the crime scene offers you. Franziska, you've still got a ways to go. Oh, so cocky and arrogant, Edgeworth. How is it possible that her writing crop makes that effect? She's not touching anything. She makes the motion, but it just doesn't make any sense. They didn't think this through. It would make more sense if she was actually hitting something with it, you know? Because it's so short, and when she moved it, it didn't really move. It's a stiff rod unless she does that. So, whatever. I miss her whip, basically, but she's young, so they didn't want to give a 13-year-old girl a whip. It's like, no, not until you're older.
What are you talking about? Are you saying there's a flaw in my logic?
Mr. Faraday died instantly. And the fact that he did is what gives rise to the contradiction in this scene. The contradiction here in this crime scene is... Ooh. Oh, there's so many things I could argue with all of them. I'm gonna say the order the bodies fell is the most suspicious part. Yeah, okay. I was like, ugh. Let me get this straight. What you are arguing is this. Mr. Faraday took the gun from his evidence bag and shot Mr. Rell. Then, the wounded Mr. Rell found an opportunity to take the knife and strike back. Upon being stabbed, Mr. Faraday died on the spot and Mr. Rell died thereafter. If that's the case, then how do you explain this? Take a good look at the order in which their bodies are piled.
No!
Making me use my eyes, how dare you! Since apparently she couldn't read the full report thoroughly about the gunshot being fired from far, then she couldn't freaking notice the fact who's on top of who. Like, come on, girl. I know you're 13, but it's just proof you ain't mature enough to be a prosecutor. Freaking 13-year-old. So stupid. Mr. Faraday's body is lying on top of Mr. Rell's, and not in the fun way.
What do you mean by that?
Nothing you're too young to understand. Therefore, Mr. Rell must have died before Mr. Faraday.
Impossible!
Yes, I agree that it seems strange no matter what angle you approach it from. Which means that the real mystery behind this crime... Oh, something about solving it?
No, not so fast, Miles Edgeworth.
What now?
I simply think that you ought to think a bit more outside the box. And that it's even clearer now that the incident started with Mr. Faraday's murderous intent.
She sure bounced back quickly. An explanation won't be enough this time. It's going to take some very decisive evidence to prove her wrong. Well, if it's about the whole gunshot thing, then I think we're fine.
It was just chance that Mr. Faraday's body fell on top of Mr. Rell's. The two bodies fell into a pile, which indicates that they attacked each other at the same time. It really doesn't matter in the slightest that they fell in the opposite order.
Girl, I just know that Franziska's explanation isn't absolutely correct. All I have to do is find a hole in her logic. Once I do, I can then present her with the evidence that proves the contradiction. Here we go, some more pressing. Girl, how long are we gonna have to argue with you?
For the whole episode.
Dang it. Alright, let's do it. About that... Oh, rude.
Pressing someone's testimony in order to gain some time to think. You're a real one-trick pony, aren't you? It's too bad your trick only works on fools.
That wasn't my intent. Don't confuse me with Phoenix Wright. I simply wish for more details as to how Mr. Faraday ended up on top of Mr. Rell.
Someone's impatient. I was just about to explain everything to you. So, Do you think you could hold on for a minute?
Ah! Okay, this time you actually hit me. Franziska, I'll make you a deal. Please stop hurting me. I'll hold on if you hold on to that whip of yours.
Oh, I hold on to it all right. As I whip you.
Ugh!
Well, now that you've quieted down a bit, I'd like to continue if you don't mind.
What kind of whip do you got, girl? Because that little thing, how does it have such a long reach? Like, I feel like that's a little sus. Alright, they fell into a pile, which indicates that they attacked each other at the same time. What do you mean by they attacked each other at the same time?
I assume Mr. Faraday had the two different weapons in his hands. He made to attack Mr. Rell while holding both the knife and revolver, and then, after Mr. Faraday fired the gun, Mr. Rell grabbed the knife as he was falling and stabbed Mr. Faraday. That is how Mr. Rell wound up on the bottom with Mr. Faraday on top. At close range, that is more than possible.
Ah, close range you say. Here we go.
Yes, it's possible, but... Well, if you have any other ideas, then show me what you've got.
Oh, I will. And to that extent, I'd like for you to append what you just said to your testimony. Yes.
I don't see any point to that, but as you please. That fact indicates that they attacked each other at the same time from close range.
Oh, Franzi.
Objection!
You don't know how to read English, do you, darling? So you believe they killed each other at close range? Sorry, but that's impossible. More like sorry, not sorry. Ooh! That's the look he had on his face. Just as it is written in the crime scene notes, the firing of the handgun did not leave a gunpowder burn on Mr. Rell's clothes. Therefore, Mr. Rell and the gun must have been separated by a distance of at least 2 or 3 yards.
Ah!
Yes. This is by far the biggest contradiction. The two bodies are piled up on each other, yet the gun was fired from a distance. And with there being no chance that Mr. Rell moved that far after being shot, that leaves only one possible explanation.
What a completely foolish line of foolish thoughts from a thoroughly foolish fool! If I'm not right, then who was it that made the first move with the intent to kill, huh? Who?
The person that attacked first with murderous intent. That would be neither man. Somebody else did it, yo. Here, in this room, contradictions appear no matter which man we claim attacked first. Thus, there can be only one explanation. There was a third person here. It was that third person who killed both Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell, and set their bodies up to make it look like a double murder. That third person is the real culprit.
Miles Edgeworth. There's just one thing you're missing.
Evidence, correct?
Exactly. Everything you've said up until now is nothing but a story played out in your head. However, this is where the real test begins. Can you prove that there was a third person involved in this crime?
Of course. Such a dramatic build-up. He's like, well, duh. Yeah. Oh, the confidence, the cocky confidence. I love it. Poor Franziska. She's just like, she tries so hard. She tries way too hard, but it's hard to compare to someone who's older and a bit wiser. Oh, you poor thing.
If a third person was truly here, that fact would resolve the glaring contradiction. The proof that this has all been a setup, made to look like they killed each other. I'll present it and lay bare the final piece of the puzzle that's not yet in place. What is the piece of evidence that proves there's a third person involved?
This is honestly pretty tricky. Like, I'm tempted to say it's a plastic bag, honestly. The fact that there was no struggle, and the fact that his blood's on it. It's tough. It's like, I don't know. It's either that or the gun. The fact that it was from far away. I mean, that seems pretty decisive to me. But I feel like the plastic bag is the most suspicious thing that we haven't addressed yet. So let's go with that.
The gun in Mr. Faraday's hand and the plastic bag with his blood on it.
Okay, this is one of those that I think you could have chosen either one. Which is why I was considering both of them. But we're good.
These two items point to the presence of a third person. How so? Recall Detective Gumshoe's testimony.
I was in the hallway the whole time, but I didn't hear a single peep of a struggle.
If there wasn't a struggle in this room, then there shouldn't be any plastic bags on the ground, meaning that someone else must have deliberately scattered them around. Do you not see the possibility in this? Disregarding the gun for the moment, there's a high probability of blood splatter.
I think it's spatter. Because that's the thing that a lot of us get confused about, I believe. Like, common thinking would be, oh, splatter makes more sense than the word spatter. But apparently I looked it up and it's blood spatter, technically. I believe if I should ask Inferno more about this because she's studying like forensic science. So, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe either one works, but one is more accurate than the other. Sorry for the tangent. When a knife is used on a person.
If the culprit held the knife with a plastic bag around it, they could use the bag to catch any blood splatter from when they withdrew the knife.
Yeah.
Then, by spreading a few more plastic bags around, mixing the bloody one in with them, and arranging the room to make it look like there was a struggle between the two, they were able to conceal their presence.
All right. Oh, he's taking notes.
Looks like we've still got a long way to go in this investigation.
Yes. But I think this is where we'll be leaving the episode, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this. I promise I'm going to get more back into the swing of it. It's so awkward when you have to take a little break between recordings and then you forget how to do everything. But anyway, until next time, have a nice day.